Hey folks, how you doing? I hope you're all doing fine out there. Um, this is a special stream tonight. All right. The reason I'm doing this stream at this time tonight is because I usually stream. If you're a new viewer or anything like that, just to let you know that I usually stream around, well, not around, at 5 o'clock on Sundays. I've got a Renegade iPad here, folks, that does all my monitoring. I'm just getting sick, so my head's still a bit foggy and everything. I do want to say a great big thank you to all of you. You know, I announced that my usual 5 o'clock stream on Wednesdays wasn't going to happen because I was laid up, and I just made an announcement. Uh, I really didn't think uh, anything of it other than just to let you guys know. I didn't want you all going, well, what happened to Michael? Um, but God, I read some of the comments to Kimberly. So many of you wishing me well. I appreciate that so much. I really do. Feeling a lot better today than I did yesterday. But boy, I'll tell you, right after I streamed on Sunday, I was not feeling 100%. And it finally just laid me out bare, folks. But so many of you and your kind thoughts, your well wishes is just absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Now, for those of you who don't know what this stuff is all about, I just clicked on this live stream, Mildred, and look, there's this guy up there mumbling about missing streams. Well, what's he all about? Well, to you folks, all I can say is welcome to the bottom line. I'm Michael Noland, and tonight is Tribal Forum number 59, where we talk about rockers that just chap my hide. We're talking about rockers. When they open up their mouths, folks, I usually mutter, get a rope, if you know what I mean. Now, I've seen Doc Insomnia has concerns about maybe a more nefarious group. Doc, put those in the comments. People that you're talking about. He's talking about rockers, I guess, or at least pop stars or something that are far more nefarious than the people we're going to talk about tonight. And that could be a future stream. Dr. Insomnia is one of the lifebloods of this channel. As soon as I make a note that I've got a stream up within an hour or two, he's usually right on in there, often within minutes, kind of setting a timber that will adjust how I approach my live stream and everything. And I always appreciate that about you, Doc. John S. Rouse, I don't think I've seen you before. Is John brand new? There's several people that I'm seeing for the first time here before we get into this. I noticed John Ralph, Stephen Fox, always good to see you, as well as you, Jorge. Jorge. Now, Royce calls you George. I call you Jorge, which is right. What do you go by, brother? We've got, of course, Old Crow, just did some um, uh, um, uh, answering his comments on a recent video. What does he say? He says, "Isn't Chap My Hide a song from the Village People?" Oh, it's going to be that kind of stream tonight, huh? Old Crow? All right. I can go there. I can go there. All right. Tim Henry of Music Life, I'm glad to see you. I didn't know that you'd be able to stick around or something, or maybe it wasn't you that was saying they couldn't stick around. This is a different time zone. Just to let you know, I usually stream Sundays and Wednesdays at 5 o'clock. That's uh, uh, Pacific Standard Time. So adjust your times accordingly because we have tribal members from all over this planet, folks. We've got people from New Zealand, Australia, England, Germany, France, Canada, the United States, big audience here in the Western United States. But I've got a rather large audience in the Eastern United States as well, Mexico, Hawaii, all right, uh, Japan, and South America, name a country, right? So that's what this whole thing is about. Is the tribal forum. All right. I always say we are the tribe at the end of all of my dedicated videos, don't I? And that started a spark. It was what I saw. The people I was talking to were of the same ilk, were of the same tribe. And yet I knew right away that a lot of these people don't they and me would not agree politically, right? You folks, you know, you wouldn't agree with me on a religious level. Some of you might, same thing on the political end, if that's what I wanted to espouse on the channel, and that's not what I want to do whatsoever, ever. But the thing that we have in common here is that we all love what we call classic rock. And I'll tell you what I usually say, but there's folks right now in the audience that would disagree with me. But this is merely my opinion. The classic rock era for me started with the release of the Rubber Soul album by the Beatles. Now, there were elements of classic rock prior to that. But it seemed to me, as a person who grew up during that time period, who witnessed this first flush of classic rock, for me, that's what does it. So 1965, all the way up to, and I include reluctantly, to the year 2005. All right, there were still a couple of artists. Los Lonely Boys was just coming in. I was hot for that band, and they just kind of disappeared. They got too much pop. Tex-Mex band with brothers, a drummer named Ringo. How could you go wrong, right? So I put it there. Most music magazines say it was 2010 because that's where they've understood that. I guess it was 2010 where rap and hip hop and pop artists in general were outselling and rock and roll was no longer officially the predominant music listened to in a popular way by the general audience, right? But it doesn't take away the power of classic rock, all right? Now, as I've said many times, and so many of you agree with me on this, uh, classic rock, classic rock is is like a picnic, okay? It's a state of mind, right? It's established, it ruled the universe for 50 solid years, according to me, 55 years, more than that by many. And some of you would end it at the end of the 70s, bleeding slightly into the 80s. I know a lot of you believe that you didn't care for the grunge movement or anything else like that. Me personally, I loved it. I was in my 30s when it first hit, so I wasn't a teeny bopper that was falling for it, first of all. And when it hit, I loved it immediately. As a matter of fact, I don't. It wasn't Nirvana that did it for me to get me into grunge. By the way, um, although when they came out, I was flabbergasted by them, just like a lot of you folks. But it was Alice in Chains, and it was their single "Man in a Box." Right now, you go to their album, that first album, and they all got long hair. They were hair band, uh, or at least that's the image they were pushing forward. Of course, that image changed rapidly. Jerry Cantrell never stopped growing his hair. A couple of members didn't, but the physical presentation, dress, and everything else uh, uh, got more into grunge. I think they kind of bumped into grunge more than anything. But that first freaking album by them is totally. I'll place that album against a lot of your favorite albums from the 70s and 60s. I thought it was that good. I didn't get into the Smashing Pumpkins until their melancholy phase, and that sold me on them. and then went and got the album before that, a couple albums before that, was it, or one album with the girls on it, and then started collecting them forward. I kind of lost interest. Uh, Billy Corgan's an amazing artist as far as songwriting and everything, but I think he's lost something. And I did a review on his. The Smashing Pumpkins' latest triple album. Uh, I actually only got one third of the way through the review, and personally just lost interest in it. It was bloated, right? But you have to give it to the Smashing Pumpkins; they're at least producing new music. So that's kind of what this whole channel is about, right? That'll give you the complexion. Now, what is this tribal forum, uh, and why is it live? All right, I started this channel back in October. Well, it says October 12th, 2021. Okay, but my first video wasn't out until October 28th, and it's still up. All right, it's just me sitting right here, and I have the camera up high, and I introduce you to all the equipment you see back here, or most of it I've added over the years. And I was a tech-oriented channel. I was giving tutorials on how to edit video. I had barely learned myself. The audacity, I know. Uh, and you would think with my background, all right, I am a singer songwriter. I have played in every local band known to man. I usually covered the North Bay area of California, just north of San Francisco, but I would gig in San Francisco, a couple of East Bay spots, down in San Jose, even, right? So I had a large territory. My band never made any major waves or anything like that, but I was able to bring in money uh, to supplement my income. Sometimes I'd work a job, sometimes I'd play in a band full time. All right, that's my background. And I played in bands that were, for the most part, original music. Of course, uh, in those days, we were competing against top 40 bands, cover bands, what a lot of people call tribute bands these days. Uh, and so you'd have to pepper in some covers like Jesus is just all right with me. I really enjoyed performing that by the Doobie Brothers because of the three-part harmonies, and we had just added a female singer into the band. And I just loved the feel of that. That's a song that I would have played whether I was a 100% original band or not, right? And we'd play, then Bad Company came out, can't get enough, the hits off that album, One of These Nights by the Eagles, if you sprinkled in enough of that stuff, uh, I found that I could do like two covers and then do two of mine and then a cover and one of mine and, trying to make a living, folks, just like 99% of all musician. So that's my background. You would have thought with that background that when I made my channel, that would be what I wanted to do my channel on. But see, I had retired from music. We were taking care of Kimberly's mom. So that kind of put an end to me playing live. I had to be more home based, and I was just driving myself mad. Okay. Uh, it was like I've been retired now, what, since 2011, babe? So 14 years. So I'm not a new retiree. And I spent a lot of time uh, uh, almost being forced into playing the old man retiree. And there was this flame inside of me that has to create. That's why I write songs, still do, right? Always putting in ideas on my phone for a melody and then going back home and checking on it. And I'm so busy with the channel right now, I'm not doing any recording or anything like that. And of course, I'm not playing live. And by the way, if you're curious, I am 70 years old. Okay. So I go back a ways and I understand classic rock as a musician would. I understand the workings of the industry on the bottom rungs of the industry. I've played universities, junior highs. I've played block parties. I've played warehouse parties. I've played every pub, every bar that known to man, right? I played for audiences of about 12 people that changed to another 12 people, and you have to play your set like you're playing in front of 500. And I played in front of thousands of people at the same time at an university show. One is coming to mind right away, right? And we played Sonoma State University, and just a huge crowd. And so I understand where a lot of musicians who are of the retiree age wanting that kind of juice. It really, um, as a performer, if you're an actor out there, my daughter has extensive background in acting, and she realized that acting wasn't going to pay the bills, and so she's now uh, on the verge of becoming an accountant. All right. We're very proud of her and everything. But and my daughter's a fine singer songwriter in herself, poisonally trained by me, if I don't say so myself. Did he say it again? Yes, he did. Like I said, I'm still putting myself together. But and I'm doing a long about intro tonight because I want you guys to know I don't expect hardly anybody in. We've got 50. Kimberly, can you believe that? We've got 50 watching right now.
Oh, that's great.
In a different time zone on a night I normally don't even stream.
Yeah, I know.
Kimberly, by the way, I love this stream because I wasn't expecting it. I thought, hey, it's going to be a small crowd. I'll give you a little background of me that I hadn't talked about specifically, right? Long-time viewers were going, yeah, I remember when he talked about that. And
Yeah.
oh, he brought that out once in a video, right? But that's kind of my background, right? And so I am passionate about what I cover on this channel. And after backing into being a rock channel, that happened. See, I still didn't get it, folks. I still didn't get the fact that uh, doing a tech oriented channel not only held no future for me, but it wasn't quite me. But I left up all of those videos. You want to see some embarrassing shit? Yeah, go to some of my earlier videos. Like everybody else out there, Tim Henry, I see you out there. I see you making a wave on the internet here a bit, and I support you 100%. And according to some of your comments, I'll give you an idea because the channel's been successful, folks. We've got 46,100 subscribers plus, right? So from my neck of the woods, my quadrant of the universe, my local group of galaxies of YouTube channels, I've got a larger channel than a lot of people that I fully support, by the way. All right. I've been fortunate. I've been very fortunate. And Tim, I will say this talk about what you know, and you've got a good knowledge base, brother. I've been watching you, right? Uh, you were saying you hate your voice. Get used to it, brother. It ain't going to change. So learn how to present that voice the way that it better comes across as real. Be yourself. Don't be apologetic. Just get up there and do it. And here's the other thing I would suggest to you, brother. Make sure every presentation, whether you're on a live stream or you start doing your own videos, is this much better than the last one. That's how I've learned. That's how I've grown. There's my 2 cents for what it's worth, right? Okay, so tonight's channel is also going to cover not only rockers that Chap my hide, but I'm going to be covering a little bit about what I was going to cover on my last um, video or stream, and that's rockers that I cover that I pay for dearly for covering them. All right, and I wanted to get into a little bit of that as well. All right, so I'm going to do some real quick channel business here, folks. We usually do this, and this usually already happens 10 minutes ago. But I'm trying to build an audience on a night that I don't have much of an audience, right? So here goes. First of all, I wanted to. I've already given you your troll alert. Anybody with a wrench out there, you're seeing the chat going by. All of these people I've gotten to know, right? And Jorge, get in earlier next time. You'd be one I would wrench up. If you see a wrench, these are tribal marshals, and they keep the riffraff out. This is not a channel where trolls get to come in and attack anyone, whether it's me or the tribe. We had one troll that attacked both me and the tribe. What was that? Doc Insomnia was the one that got him. Um, that was two streams ago, right? So we don't want to deal with the trolls. So troll alert, all tribal marshals. That's what we call them. You see a wrench? That's not a wrench. That's a badge, baby. And the way I present my live streams is you don't see me doing a lot of talking with the chit chat here. That's Kimberly's job. The woman you heard in the background is my wonderful wife, Kimberly Nolan. She is the producer
Oh
and
my goodness, hon, just the facts man gave us a super thing.
and heralder
Oh,
of
thank
super
you,
things,
Dan.
right?
That's so sweet.
All right, and I got to tell you, when we first, I'll be right with you, Dan. Thank you, Dan, the man, just the facts, man. If you go to my channel page, my travel page, uh, you'll notice I have everybody who has a channel page can feature. I use it exclusively for a very few channels, right? Right now, I am featuring Royce in the House, of course, my brother from another mother. Royce streams right after my show on Sunday at 6:30. I end up my stream on Sundays. It's a shorter stream than midweek, right? I end that up in about an hour, right? I may sometimes go a little bit over, but I've always got to give myself time to get off and prep to show up on Royce's stream quite often. I haven't been on his last three streams. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's talking about this week. And if it's something I can add to the dialogue, I'll be over there. Right. So, anyway, Dan is, as a matter of fact, let's take a look at his thing here. Dan is another one of four channels that I actually support actively. And that's Just the Facts Man, wonderful content creator. Dan says, glad you're feeling better, my friend. Yes, Dan, thank you so much. I am. I'm on Kimberly's iPad here. So I just gave you a thumbs up. I'm not able to give hearts for these, folks, because my system, wait a minute, maybe I am. Nope. See, I've got several different devices open and they're all on different accounts monitoring for different reasons. Okay. There is a method to my madness. All right. Yeah. So thank you so much, Dan. And of course, the other two channels, Vance, he was in the comments the other night. And I said, nice to see you, Vance, and everything. I forgot to shout out his channel. This guy, this is my personal recommendation as far as a guy that knows at least as much as me and much more in other subgenres. He also is actively attending tons of concerts still. He's old enough to have the grit you want, the history, and he's quite knowledgeable. And that is called Zep Earl. Go to his stream. Vance is fantastic. You'll see him over on PB Thal streams every once in a while. I think that's he's jokingly said he's under contract with PB Thal. Otherwise, we'd love to have him over at Royce's. He just adds to a conversation. Wonderful channel. And then, of course, the fourth channel is Soul Train Bro. Don't let that uh, title fool you. It's all about classic rock. Wayne over there gave me my first bump up when I first went back or transferred my channel, and this will conclude my intro, and then I've got some shout outs to read. Okay. When I first converted my channel, see, I'd done one special video, my thoughts on Peter Jackson's Get Back with the Beatles, right, on Disney. And for the first time in my life, I got 1,000 views. I went, oh, you know. And you would have thought, yeah, now he'll get on board. And no, I kept doing my, the tutorials and things. And then I did a review, a second part of that review, and a third part of my that review. And that's when I started going, well, I'm going to do a Beatles section. And I wallowed in that for about 4 weeks and came out hitting and coming out really as a rock channel for the first time on I think it was February 15th. I always call the 15th the birthday of this channel of 2022. So now when you think of that, 2022, 2025, this channel is barely 3.5 years old. And so many of you have come along for the ride. And I am so very grateful of that. And a super big thanks and a shout out to Wayne from Soul Train Bro, who got me going. And I've always felt that it's been my responsibility that to be worthy of the kind of trust he showed in me. And I think I've answered him in kind if I ever did that for somebody and they produce like I've managed to produce on this channel. I'd be proud of him. I hope you are too if you're out there watching. He's a line cook and he's a relief cook, and often he's out in the middle of the woods and out of satellite distance. So he comes in and out. His channel still got tons of content. It's kind of lying dormant now, except for when he does his tributes, and he just did a bang up tribute on Ozzy Osbourne. You guys got to go over there. It's all in my featured page. So that kind of gives you an idea. And the tribal forum is when you and I, the tribe, can talk in real time. All right. Kimberly is my tether while I go through a prepared presentation. That's what's a little different about my channel. I give the same energies into my live streams as I do my pre-recorded videos. I have a group of notes that I'll follow tonight. Tonight it's just a list of rockers. That's my notes. There they are. Yeah, I see them right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So yeah, 13 artists, 13 bands that tap my hide. Okay. But before we get on to that list, that's right up next. I always give shout outs to those who gave super thanks the previous uh, stream, which was my previous stream was on Sunday. Very short stream, but so many giving people on this one, right, babe?
Yep.
Yeah, I barely went an hour. And so many of you just responded so wonderfully. And by the way, you're going, why are you making a big deal about this?
Yeah.
This is what's keeping, what's that, babe?
Oh, I said, oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. See, she's on delay a little bit.
Yes.
All right. So, anyway, the reason that people do this is they have faith in the channel. It's like a baseball team, only this is a tribe, baby. This is they see this, they want to see this thing grow. And what is the tribe? The tribe is all you folks, you who are watching right now, even if you're not subscribing and you haven't turned me off yet, for tonight at least, you're part of the tribe, right? And the tribe, we come from all over. We try to eschew from politics, religion, and as much as I can, philosophy. I have a philosophical bent to me. And so you're going to get a little bit of that. And so I accept that back from you guys. But we are a group of people, and especially this group you see making comments tonight. All right, they're the lifeblood of keeping this thing going. See, this is when the channel comes alive. The tribe is alive tonight, right? All my other videos, I try to answer you. Sometimes I get you within minutes if I drop a brand new video, or I drop that video, I crash, I go to bed, and then I start answering your comments 12 hours later. But see, and I love that intimacy. That's what grew this channel, right? But these folks, they're this is I said it. This is like uh, a group of friends with a family tie, and I mean that. We care about each other. So many of you cared about how I was doing when I couldn't show up last night, right? And we've demonstrated that caring with others that are having a tough time. Christian, who couldn't make it tonight, he's probably exhausted because he's been taking care of his mom. We're aware of each other, you know. Caitlin, who had to leave early, who's had surgery she's had to contend with, and medical emergencies with her own mom. We care about each other. You know, for those who choose to participate in the conversation, in the comments, right? And that's why I'm against trolling. I don't want anything to get in the way of that. You know, I'd rather it be when we congregate, we agree to, and we're going to argue. We're going to argue tonight, I'm sure, right? But within the confines of classic rock, there's enough drama there to fill in an encyclopedia. Okay? All right. So last on my last stream, the following people gave the following super thanks. Natalie Carly of Savoca. I almost missed her. And then she gave that, and I went, oh no, because I was shouting out so many of the early arrivals to the stream. She gave us a $10 super thanks. John Foster in with a $2 super thanks. We always call that the power of two. You know, every once in a while you'll see a big, huge super thanks come across. And those people who do that, I tell you, I know these people. They would be the first to tell you, don't, I'm able to give, but whatever you can give helps. And you'd be amazed, as you're going to find out here, how quickly $2 super thanks add up. And we appreciate them as much as the largest donation this channel's ever gotten, you know. All right. And I know exactly what that donation is, and I'm not even going to bring it up.
Hi,
Right?
Thomas just came
With the
in
power of two.
with
No,
a super
Thomas.
thank.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Thomas, is this the
thank you
first
so
time you're in?
much.
Is
That's awesome.
Yeah. He's new, isn't he, baby? Isn't he new? Thomas Koch.
Koch, no, he's been
And
here.
no message.
He's been here.
Yeah. Oh, he has. Okay. Right. Okay. Good. Good. I just, when I'm going down the list, you know, like I said, Kimberly is my connection to you guys.
Yeah.
And then I read this shit after, right? Because everything you say, and I am in the conversation early before I go on stream. For those of you who arrive early, right? I like to participate in the discussion, but then I can't come up with a presentation that I think would be a little more entertaining to watch, right? Okay, so let me finish this list. Boy, thank you so much, Thomas. John Foster, like I said, power of two, $2. Irgesplitten Loudenboomer, Gear Jam, had a $2 super thanks. What's that, darling?
Oh, I'm talking to myself.
Oh, she's talking to herself.
Yeah, I was trying to. I can't.
She's exhausted from nursing me back to health, folks. All right? Give the woman a break. All right. And then Irger Splitten Loudenboomer, Gear Jam, $2. Rock and Robin Bird, $2. Deuces Wild, $20. Deuces Wild in again with $5. Michael Boswell in with $2. And Michael, I'm going to do some research. I'm not sure I answered that first $2 one you did. I think I got to the next one. uh, and I'll find it and I'll repeat that and explain what it was all about in a future episode. I always try to answer these folks, right? And 45 RPM, $5. Franco Blondie, aka White Monkey, $5. Storm Cop, and this is one example of what I'm talking about. $50. Thank you, James. We appreciate it. Just like we appreciate Agent Pepsi and her wonderful $2 super thanks. The power of two. And Michael Boswell followed in. Yeah, $5 because I thought I saw $7 with a $5 super thanks. And Ben Scheidecker ended the evening at the last second with a wonderful power of two. $2 super thanks. Thank you so much, folks. And thank you for those who have done so for tonight. 44 thumbs up. Wonderful. How many do we have watching? We're still retaining our 50. That's a big audience compared to what I even thought I could carry tonight. All right. So when I talk about rockers, I'm going to kind of what was the impetus for tonight's stream and what pushed me and got me off my sick bed, kind of with a need to open my mouth about something. It was well, it was a couple of things. See, as I've been recuperating, it gave me time to kind of catch up on a band I've hardly covered. Motley Spew. I mean Motley Do. I mean Motley Crew, right? And evidently, Motley Crue was supposed to do what is that loser town again that can't
Oh
make a
my
profit?
goodness, hon, Steven,
Oh my
that
goodness!
box just came
Oh,
through.
Stephen,
Oh,
thank you so much.
Steven,
$5
thank
super
you so
thanks. He
much.
says, glad you're better.
Oh,
Never liked how Page and
so
Plant treated
sweet.
John Paul Jones. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. It was like when they did their unleaded thing, and then they finally got back together. Uh, um, John Paul Jones said, "What happened? Did you lose my number?" You know? Yeah, no, that was a dirty deed. I didn't like that. Although what
oh,
Plant and Page did is fantastic. A big fan of that period and what they did. The DVD that with that sideshows they did with that. Uh, it was it felt like Zep days were back. Even though it wasn't. And of course, Robert Plant during that time period had a wonderful solo career going. I'm a big fan. It seems like he spends most of his time reworking Led Zeppelin songs, which are cool. I just saw another one he did. I can't remember which one it was. He actually did two of them. He's got a new fiddle player, female vocalist, with his new band, and his new album's going to be called Saving Grace, and the single's called Everybody's Song. Is that what it is, folks? You guys know. I've already brought it up. I love the song. I love the approach and everything. But he doesn't do a whole lot of his early Plant solo years. And I thought, wow, because I was a big Plant solo year fan. Bought all of those freaking albums, right? Okay, so this gets back to why I um, got into tonight's theme, and that is I caught up on Vince Neil's New York performance with a couple of other Coddlewallers, um, and to see what he they okay. I lost my track when my train of thought when that super thanks came in. I'm gonna kill that chicken. I'm gonna
Michael,
Baby, I'm gonna kill.
Michael, it's just a chicken.
It's just a
It's a
chicken.
rooster.
That chicken. Me and that chicken one of these days, man.
Typical man.
I'm confident in my ability, Howard.
Yeah, you don't want another rooster around, do you?
Uh, no, no. I'm the cock of the walk, darling.
Yeah, no
You know,
rooster, only
no
Michael.
backdoor men allowed in my life.
Oh, hell no.
I've handled a few. You know that.
Yeah.
They were sorry. They came nuzzling back around my back door, weren't they?
Yep.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with her. She exudes so much class. No backdoor man has any ability to approach her. That's one of the things I fell in love with her about. Okay, so anyway, Vince Neil. All right, well, or the thing that ate Vince Neil uh, is back, and I said I lost my train of thought. So we went back. I was bringing up the city that loses money, Las Vegas. Motley Crue was set to do a residency there. They called it off due to a medical condition that he still isn't talking about. Right. Um, and that his but he is saying that his doctors told him that he shouldn't ever perform again, right? That he cannot perform under these conditions. And in this interview that I saw with him and another rocker, I'll mention in a minute, he even said that Motley Crue is done, except that I know that they're in talks of doing a a makeup residency sometime this fall in Las Vegas. So I'm not sure he's cognizant half the time when he's talking. Because that made no sense when he said that. But I have the video where he said Motley Crue is done. Now he's doing his live view. It didn't seem like he said done for the season. He just said done out of the blue, right? And so I then took a look. That was the first thing I saw that video, and it was an interview with him and Sammy Hagar. Okay, or the thing that ate Sammy Hagar. Nothing like a couple of rotund sex symbols sitting down at Vince's brand new home in uh, what is it, Tennessee, the big country thing. I'm just having a brain fart, darling.
Oh,
Memphis.
Memphis.
Yeah, because a whole lot of LA people, stars and producers and engineers are moving to the Memphis area these days. So much for their loyalty to you, LA fans. If you're down in LA listening to me right now, right? He's more interested
Oh my
in
goodness,
Memphis
hon.
now.
Richie CC
I
came
see that.
in.
Richie, it's been a while since I saw you, brother.
Oh, Richie, thank
We
you
were
so
about
much.
we were about ready to send the dogs out.
I know,
Yeah.
Richie 359. He's
uh,
here. Awesome.
I think what he's saying here, because it says that, but I think he's saying, thank you for being you, Michael. I was really upset with the hate Ted Nugent got in the comments for his politics. I don't agree with so many artists, but respect their art and enjoy their music catalog. Okay, so let's say I was really upset at the hate Ted Nugent got in the comments for his politics. Yeah, he did get a lot of hate in the comments.
Yeah.
And I don't hate him for his politics. Matter of fact, I don't hate Ted Nugent. All right. I bought his albums. I, I, I had Damn Yankees and a couple of just Ted Nugent albums, right? Because he's just that good, right? And I've said that I don't have to like an artist uh, to buy them, and you're going to find that out in tonight's stream. By the way, Richie. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. But you know what? There was a strong contingency that just didn't like his mouth, and that was my problem with him. Opening his mouth about Ozzy Osbourne and in a tribute of all things, and still having to bring up negative aspects. And I felt, oh, a little too soon. You know, that's a little too close to the skin. I even brought up in that video, don't worry, in the future, we'll talk about some of those mistakes and Ozzy's nature, because guess what? It's part of the story, right? It is part of the story. But the greater story, and I said that, matter of fact, I just put out a heavily edited 2 minutes from my last stream where I said, so and so, but he didn't. He didn't gig that I did on my last stream, and it's doing real well. People are responding well to it, right? So I thought, the thing is that's what we should have been focusing on, right? Now, as far as his mouth, I've often criticized him, Richie. He is, as a matter of fact, we'll start this here and we'll get back to Motley Crue in a minute. Because in my last stream, I said there are rockers I get into trouble no matter what I do, if I cover them. And all of these rockers I'm going to be bringing up tonight, I've praised at the same time, but I'll say what I don't agree with about them. And it's usually because one thing I get an itch in my pants over is rockers who take public paid venues as their pulpit and espouse their politics. And I don't think that's a proper place to do it. Now, they're free if they're being interviewed to express their politics. I have no trouble with that. They're just like you and I. We can, express our politics anytime we feel like it. Welcome to America, right? So I understand that. That's a basic freedom and everything. I'm not cutting that down, right? But when they and then there are interviews that I don't quite, they're bringing them on just as a soundbite, right? I saw an interview with Nugent today, right? And it's with oh god, the British guy who's on Fox News, and oh, but don't you see, he's a conservative, right? But and my kind of conservative, you know, uh, many would say. But he's, don't you see so many guns on the street and they're killing? And then Ted would come back and do, this big thing. I felt like that was a bit soundbite-ish, but that's okay, even to me, uh, because he has a right to express, and if he's famous and people want to ask him, that's fine, but not at a concert, right? I don't think that's right at all. And in other certain circumstances, have a little sensitivity and everything. So, and I just did a portion where I covered Ted Nugent, by the way, Richie. And the very first thing I noticed is I lost 15 subscribers. Now, this isn't the first time that that's happened to me. I've gotten them back. The channel continues to grow, right? And that's what I call thinning the herd, if you think about it. Because now I praised him in that video as well. I said I bought his albums. I think he's a fantastic guitarist. I didn't like what and how he was picking at Ozzy. I think now was too narrow of a time. And some people just cannot stand to see their rock gods criticized. Every single time I've done a video on anybody who uses public venues as a preaching platform, I've paid for dearly in subscribers. And once again, it merely slows down the growth. The growth continues, and that's fine, right? Because these people I don't necessarily want connected to the channel. There can be no dialogue with that type of individual, right? If I do, like for example, I've covered Roger Waters. I've lost more subscribers covering Roger Waters, and I have even said I don't see him as an anti-Semite, right? I have even said that I think he's a genius songwriter. I've been a fan of his since Pink Floyd and slightly after, and then I felt like he crawled up his own ass a little bit. And he also uses his paid venues to preach his politics and has even said, "You don't like what I got to say? Don't come, fuck off." Fuck off. That's what he said, right? And I criticized that. I didn't think that was appropriate. Tons of subscribers lost over that, right? And the same thing can be said for many other people. Bruce Springsteen. Same thing happens with Bruce. Uh, um, uh, oh, except that when I covered Kid Rock, which is interesting because he's on the other side of the political aisle. See, I don't have a political aisle when I criticize these folks. See, if I criticized Ted Nugent and Kid Rock, right? And other right wing rockers and didn't criticize the other side, then I'd be guilty of being a hack. I mean, good Lord, I'd be a hypocrite, right? So I criticize these in by a narrow band of contingencies. And I don't think it's wise to alienate half of your audience. A lot of them seem to think that their biggest fan base is those who think just like them. And there's the other half of the population, right, that doesn't agree with that. But they're willing to go to your shows. And rather than use your music to gently convince them, you're screaming and screeching into the microphone to get your point across. And when one of them, who was it, John Mellencamp, some guy called out to him because he's spouting his, and he goes, shut up and play the song. He wound up threatening that guy, you know, and then went into a long diatribe, said, "Well, but this is theater, you know, John Mellencamp, theater. I bought everything from Mellencamp up till what about 2004, I think, five, whatever. Right around that time period, that last album I liked, and then the next one just kind of became blah blah blah, right? But I followed him for a couple of decades, right? Bought every single one of his albums. Love his music, right? Matter of fact, when I first heard, longtime viewers will know this, when I first heard Jack and Diana, I was with my brother Gary. I forget what we were doing. And the song came on, and I go, that's a number one hit. And it was the first time it had ever been played in our area, or one of the first times. First, I listened to the radio all the time, first time I heard it. And it became a number one hit. And to this day, he remembers, man, I remember when you nailed that, you know? So that's where I've got a problem with. I've had trouble if I talk about Mike Love. I don't like Mike Love, right? Love the Beach Boys, love his work in the Beach Boys, but I don't like Mike Love. I don't think he's a very nice guy, right? I think he's a troublemaker. I think his ego is wrapped up in every thought process that comes out of that man's mind, right? Major Eagles fan. I just got through telling you that I covered Eagles songs as a musician, right? And yet I've criticized Don Henley. I don't like the way that Don Henley and Irving Urzoff, to the guy who made uh, a comment on my latest video, extolling the virtues of Irving Azoff, or asshole, or assoff, or asshat. All right. Now, remember, he was the manager of the Eagles, and he was supposed to manage all of the members of the Eagles. That didn't include Joel Walsh. He wasn't a member. And that did not include Timothy B. Schmidt. He wasn't a member officially. Neither one of them have ever been official Eagles. And the official Eagles in the band at that time were Glenn Frey, Don Henley, and Don Felder. And that man worked in favor with the two Eagles against the one Eagle. Not a great manager, right? And also to the person that was saying that I was grumpy, you know, and still calling him the Dead. If you saw the whole stream that was based on, you know, uh, I called them Dead and Company. And I also said, as far as I'm concerned, they could be called the Grateful Dead. They're not one of those bands that is noticed by a core membership. It's been a long, slow, strange trip. It's been, you know, down the years. So I didn't care uh, that they were there. I even said I don't care that even if they called themselves the Grateful Dead, I cared about the ticket prices for a Golden Gate Park concert that you could have gone to free a few decades ago. Okay, that was my criticism, and also the criticism of how people handled that. Did you notice all? You guys have seen some of the news items on that, right? All the worst criticism that that concert ever got from any coverage from a news team was that there was some parking issues, and then followed by 10 minutes of B film, B stock of various vendors and stores that are doing so well. See how good this is for the city, right? Okay. Not so great for the fans. I saw a lot of fans. You know, uh, there was one couple interviewed with their son. They had flown from North Carolina. All right. So, I mean, how much did that how much did that concert cost them? And something tells me they didn't say. Something tells me they weren't in the back section, right? And I criticize the fact that the $1,700 tickets, not the cheap $635 tickets. Those are the cheap ones, if you can believe it. But the cheap $1,725 tickets got special food, special bathroom privileges. Man, it sounds so much like the dead, huh? So get over it, fella. Anyway, I didn't delete the comment. I answered it, right? That's just the way I am. So these are people that I cover, and I felt like I wanted to talk about that on the forum because I want a dialogue here. I'm not a man to listen to if you're a sycophant from your local rock god. All right. If I've got a rock god of rock gods, for me personally, it's Paul McCartney. All right. I mean, I am such a major Paul McCartney fan on so many freaking levels. And yet, anybody who's been with my channel long enough knows that I've criticized his voice and that I've criticized him for his high ticket prices. Now, it is interesting because I haven't been losing a lot of Paul McCartney or even subscriptions when I criticize Paul. And I think that's mainly because pretty much everybody's come to that conclusion. His voice is shot, right? And his tickets are high. So I haven't lost too many of there, but I felt like when I would make those kind of streams or videos, there was a danger of that. But I can tell you right now, it is my promise to you that I'm going to give you, the bottom line as I see it, and I'm trying to bring a little fair play back to rock and roll. I see a lot of glutted old rockers who have bottle stopped everything. Nobody else can escape out of the bottle because they've got it plugged in, and no new acts can be seen or heard for the most part these days. And yet that's going to hurt rock because we're seeing them dropping dead. Ozzy, right? Dave Edmonds almost. Evidently, Dave Edmonds died in his wife's arms, and they brought him back to life. I know what that's like. I'm serious. In 2010, I died in my wife's arms, and they brought me back to life. They had to go and get extra medics to hold me down, she said. They had three, they couldn't hold me down. I don't remember a damn bit of this.
Of course you don't, hon.
I don't. I do, but they said that my automatic body response, it was just impossible. They had to have five guys hold me down to get me to the hospital. I woke up how many days later? Three?
Oh gosh.
And I flatlined. I flatlined.
4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of a story with me. I've never shared that on the channel. Right. I was 2000, I was 55. Right. That could have been my sayonara piece right there. If my wife hadn't been there, there was another individual. If she hadn't been there and that individual had been there would have never been a bottom line.
Yeah. No.
Because he wouldn't have done shit for me.
Oh my
right?
goodness.
I see that.
Boswell,
Hi, Michael. How you doing, brother? Speaking about dialogue. Michael is king of dialogue, and I'm going to tell you why. Michael and I don't always see eye to eye. Sometimes we do. I don't know what I'm going to read here, right? But Michael, look, he even supports the channel financially, and sometimes we don't even agree. That's the dialogue I'm talking about here, folks. That's what I'm trying to set up here. I want this to be a place where you look forward to coming to and share banana nut bread recipes while I'm going on my diatribe. I don't care. A lot of you do that as well. Chit chat amongst yourself. We're all amongst friends. We're all amongst a family of sorts. We are a family. He says, putting on my chaps, spurs, and star time to find me some bad rockers. Who the fans still paying good money? Rock on, little doggies.
Yeah.
Got my earlier reference, did you, Michael? Yeah. Um, and that kind of gets me to the idea of some of these, uh, 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 what I wanted to talk about tonight. Besides that, that was going to be the thrust. That's like uh, uh, you know, what my Wednesday stream would have been for idiots, that type of thing. Just to wrap up real quick here. But getting back to Vince Neil and this interview. Now, first of all, you got to understand, I didn't go into this interview with a lot of good vibes by either one of these guys. And I want to tell you, um, one of these guys, you guys know that I've just started recently recollecting vinyl, right? And so I don't have a lot of records, but the records I have with a small collection under 150 at this point have got to be by artists that are pretty important to me. Here we go. And I know I have a backward stream here tonight, but this is Montrose. All right. We're fixing that in the background. We're making moves, folks. This portion of the stream will look a lot better in the future. But this is Montrose's first album. I saw Sammy Hagar live at Winterland. Got back to Santa Rosa. Went to my record store the next day and bought this album, and even bought this album, Paper Money. All right. And I also added to my vinyl collection Sammy Hagar. All right. So whatever I say tonight, understand what happened. Was that an earthquake or did I? Oh, I'm bumping my albums against my stand again. Sorry, folks. Anyway, um, so keep that in mind. I'm a big Sammy Hagar fan, but I've got a problem with Sammy Hagar these days. I don't like the way he treated Jason Bonham. I've said that in the past. They were on tour together as four co-headliners. We all knew the main star was Sammy Hagar, but it was theoretically four co-equals touring together. And uh, Jason Bonham's wife or mother got sick, and he had to go back to England, take care of her, and then with the promise he'd be back as soon as he could get the status quo taken care of there. While he was gone, before he could even probably on the plane, Sammy had him replaced, right, as a drummer, and I thought that wasn't very cool. And so I've had this bad taste, this love-hate relationship with Sammy Hagar for a while now. You've never mentioned, even with all of my criticisms of Sammy Hagar lately, you've never heard me mention his weight. And I guess because I'm using it as a dig down on these guys. Both of these guys used to be in fantastic shape. I'm talking about Vince Neil and Sammy Hagar. They part of their success was their sexiness and their rock god looks. Okay, that was part of their success. And at their age, Sammy's just a few years older than me, but he's been heavy set for a long, long time. And to me, it's like I'm looking at this and they both look like it's just beer guts. It doesn't look like a condition or anything like that. And when you saw that, if you see this interview, look for it on YouTube after. Just say Sammy Hagar, um, you know, Vince Neil interview. Yeah, I'm sure it'll take you right to it. Um, there, boy, what a couple of butterballs. That's all I can say. First of all, I went, and then I went over and I saw Vince Neil's show. I saw several views on that show presented, and the man can't freaking sing, people. My God, he's lost his voice. And for the longest time, uh, he could at least carry the tune, and then he'd make up the words. We've covered that in the past. He can't remember. His brain's gone, right? Uh, like I said, he said Motley Crue is done, and yet we know there's talks about Motley Crue doing a future residency, right? And when I watched him live, it was like, what was the one that really stood out is "Smoking Ain't Allowed in School," right? God, he raped that song badly. Can't even sing that basic melody, right? And he was having trouble with the words, just mumbling half the time. You couldn't tell what he was singing. And this time, for the first time, really off key. Okay. Now, Sammy, on the other hand, still sounds damn great. He's still got his chops down. But what is it with yeah, here's the thing. Now, if they go to that residency, why are they doing this? Dogs of War was the last thing I was aware of that they did. I actually gave that a thumbs up. I thought that recording, I've heard a lot of shit from people who didn't like it, right? I've admitted that when Motley Crue came out, they were an ass kicking band. I just didn't follow hair bands at all in those days. Like I said, the first kind of hair band that I was aware of was Alice in Chains, and oops, that was gone, and they were all of a sudden grunge, right? So I didn't follow all the hair bands or anything like that. I wouldn't turn their music off, right? I didn't know anything about them, and it was after getting to know the cut of their jive that I really started being hypercritical of this band, and it's been a long time since I started my channel. All right, it's not because they are a band of ringers. Most of them belong in the band, but I didn't like the way that they treated Mick Mars. Right. I think Mick Mars has already shown he's still producing music, did a great album. I gave that a thumbs up. And the way that they've treated him, yeah, is so dead wrong. It's ridiculous. Tommy Lee's been caught drumming to a drum track, and they've tried to lie their way out of that. Nikki Sixx has been caught with his hands off the bass while the bass is doing an intricate bass line. And they've tried to lie their way out of that. And so when they tell us the tale of the departing Mick Mars, and then Mick Mars tells me the tale of the departing Mick Mars, I tend to believe Mick Mars because there's nobody in that band that tells the truth or worth a damn as far as human beings. Tommy Lee encouraged men to drop trowel. Kids are at these concerts, encouraging women to take off their tops, right? In today's world, right? I'm no prima donna. Back in the day, good topless woman would have been exactly what I would have wanted to see, but not if it was some dirty old men presenting them to me. I mean, it almost seems pornographic. Their whole approach sickens me. And here they are going where? They're going to show up at the Las Vegas Sphere who can't make a dime. I think we're starting to see the beginnings of the end of rock and roll, you know. Let's see, who else did I want to say? We talked about the Grateful Dead. Foreigner is another one. That what they're offering isn't anywhere. They are practically at this point a a traveling tribute band, and they've got like a Swiss Army knife full of lead singers. They can switch out on you at any time. This is bullshit, folks. I can't go for this. This is going to hurt rock and roll a lot worse than anything else. Um, Another rocker that chaps my hide, and again, by way of evidence, it's not because I don't appreciate this individual as an artist. I've already, again, under those same circumstances of collecting now, I've already collected the Fleetwood Mac and Fleetwood Mac album and Fleetwood Mac Rumors album. All right. Uh, Came real close to getting Tusk the other day, but picked up Ram instead, and that'll be coming up in a future video. Of course, I'm not talking about, well, I guess there at the beginning, I'm talking about Lindsey Buckingham as well. But there's been times when Mick Fleetwood has really pissed me off too. But primarily, the mover and shaker that gets me every time is Stevie Nicks. All right. I love her as a songwriter. Okay. And I know that Lindsey Buckingham was almost impossible to live with, and that relationship wasn't going to continue at that time ever, right? And I also know that Lindsey Buckingham was not really as mature as he is these days, or at least as he comes off, and took the breakup quite hard. They both wrote songs about each other and everything. But it got to a point, at least with the information I have gotten from them, along with documentaries I've seen and everything. Stevie's picture started changing for me. Right, first she's hooked up with Mick Fleetwood, then she's hooked up with Joe Walsh, and got a plethora of other guys along the way, I'm sure. And she and I couldn't ever quite forget the fact that Lindsay was offered that gig without her. They didn't want her, and he had to insist to bring her along. So I always thought he was an angry young man that wasn't uh, mature enough for her at that point in his life. But his love was real. His loyalty was real. That tells me what the cut of the man was a bit. Loyalty to a partner. You know, this could have been the biggest thing to ever happen to him, and he was going to bring Stevie along. And Stevie never has returned the favor to me. I'll give you an example. When they did Say You Will, the album, they did a documentary on that, and you can just see Stevie weaving her web. What Lindsay wanted was a double album, and she goes, he doesn't understand kids today, and her very pragmatic reasonings and everything, and then had to have her man do a mixing versus Lindsay's man do a mixing. It was a game. She's a game player. She always has to feel like she's more relevant than she actually is. As far as I'm concerned, uh, I like them both equally as songwriters. I like them both equally as vocalists. But I also like Lindsey Buckingham for being one of the best guitarists on the planet and one of the best producers on the planet, right? And he was always the major talent with this version of Fleetwood Mac for me, right? So she's always bugged the hell out of me, right? I've never cared for her, and yet I collect music that has some of her best stuff. Not, I'm never going to pick up a single album from her. Just never was a fan of her beyond that. All right. Let's see. We covered Foreigner, yeah, yeah, and then the Who. You know what's going on there. Former heroes of mine. I got to see them live when Keith Moon was part of the band and John Entwistle was part of the band. That's the real Who to me, and what's been going on. And it's interesting. I all I have to do is see an article and don't just blur my eyes, don't read the headline, and I can tell you right now that I will hate that following article if it has the picture uh, of Roger Daltrey on it. Oh, boy. Okay, so this is the latest chapter. I've already done streams where I've covered the firing of Zach Starkey, one of my biggest streams, right? They got rid of him. Then they brought him back. Pete Townsend said, I don't have anything to do with that. And then he said, oh, I have everything to do with that. Roger Daltrey keeping a low profile. Pete Townsend doing the damage control. Oops, Zach is out again. And this time we hear from Pete Townsend. Pete Townsend, blah, 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 blah. And then that I haven't really been covering the story. I've been following it, but I haven't been covering it. Right from that point on, I needed a freaking breath. And all of a sudden, now we're seeing, well, Zach Starkey, he just ain't shutting up, is he? Yeah, a new article every day about something, you know, about Roger Daltrey, right in the midst of a very important tour. I wonder how ticket sales are going for that. Because what are we getting from Roger Daltrey? Well, he's now coming out, and his feelings are hurt, folks. Did you know that? He finds that Zach Starkey standing up for himself against the guy who got his own personal drummer into the band, by the way, right? The guy that made a blurb of a mistake that wouldn't have been noticed at all if Roger Daltrey didn't make a huge mistake and then try to blame it on Zach. Then try to say, no, it wasn't Zach. See, it was my earbuds and all of that. Bullshit. We followed the story. You can rewrite history all you want, Raji. Ain't gonna help. And now your feelings are hurt. Trying to get a little bit of, Now, for me, you treated him badly. A lot of bands are treating drummers badly these days, aren't they? Being a drummer ain't necessarily, you know, give you any kind of seniority rank in a lot of rock bands these days because they're trading them like, bubblegum cards, folks. But anyway, and complaining, and that's not true, and what it was, and he's re-explaining things after keeping his mouth shut. Safe and secure with the drummer of his dreams. And an older Pete Townsend who just wants to stay the hell out of it and get done with this tour, take the millions home and retire his ass. He looks like he's about dead these days, you know? So that's what's happening today. Those are some of the bands that I can't stand. Doc, I know that you were talking about a lot more serious stuff than that, but I, you know, these these things are blurbs in rock and roll that or mars, I should say. They mar the whole preciousness of rock and roll. I've said it before. The way a man chooses to go out says a whole lot about his character. The way that Ozzy Osbourne went out, you know, his foibles and all, was epic. It was Shakespearean. It's a novel that's coming out to a store near you, I'm sure, very soon, right? The Ozzy Osbourne story. Ah, you know what I'm saying? How are they going to do the? It's going to be the. It's not going to be Black Sabbath. They'll get people to play. But I'm telling you, this is a movie in the making. They've got people writing this shit right now, folks. Because the man showed in the end, despite all of his weaknesses, all of his fragilities, all of his mistakes, rose far above that. And like I said it's like going down in a blaze of gunfire, like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid did with Paul Newman or Robert Redford in that movie, right? What a way to go out. What have I been talking about here? People bitching and moaning. Stevie Nicks has been doing nothing. Oh, they had a nice little love note, but that was only because they re-released the Nicks and Buckingham album, which I hear is pretty good. I'm not rushing out to get it. If it becomes available to me, maybe one day. But so I'm interested in it enough, primarily because of Buckingham. But I hear it sounds like a Fleetwood Mac album for the most part, right? But before that little love tap they had, she's been up on. Oh, this ruined my life, and I hate him a lot, Mom. Good God, what a whiner! These people are whining themselves to death. These former rock star heroes of mine. Oh my God, what a pasty ass way to go. You know, stand up. Make your mistakes, admit them, right? What is it with Roger Daltrey's ego? It was clearly his mistake. And I think he was looking for a mistake. He had that drummer in his back pocket. And he had just got through touring with that drummer. Divorce. Divorce caused a who divorce, if you think about it. But his ego, he can't handle it. And Pete Townsend has even said, I can hardly even talk to him anymore. And you got to be real careful because he gets his feelings hurt real quick. What a fragile little pussy. Good Lord. And I used to, oh man, I remember what I thought of him. I go, that is, how old would I have been when that was? Early 20s when I saw him? Early 20s? And I looked at him, I go, I wish I looked like that. You know, it was like the bare chested rock god, you know, could hit any note in the world, swing that freaking microphone to the ceiling, snap it back, catch it, and do a somersault practically. All right, the somersault part I made up. The somersaults were usually, left for Pete Townsend, who can barely move now. But that's not why that's not going out. I mean, if they all went out on stools and they did a great set, I'd be saying that's like going out in a blaze of gunfire. No, it's the whining. It's the dirty laundry that they just got to make sure we all know about. Or it's the politicians that they say will save our lives.
Oh, honey,
I saw that.
Boswell came in with another.
I wanted to make sure that I tell you it was Michael that was the last one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. Okay, good, because I didn't want to not cover it. He says, Michael, do you think the Stones are still mates? Oh, wow. Yeah, I not with their former bass player, evidently, although he was on that whole story, uh, just a putrid story. Why he eventually left and everything. I'm not going to cover that, but I don't think there's much love lost between him and Mick and Keith. And frankly, at this point, let's see. I guess you're going to have to include Ron Wood. In that he's not an original Stone, but out of the original Stones, it's Keith and Mick. Ron Wood's just happy to be anywhere, and that's kind of been Ron Wood from the start. Hi. Oh, you mean I'm a Stone? Cool. I was a face once. Now I'm a very famous face. He's their third guitarist. So he's all along for the ride. He seems like when he hangs with people, everybody kind of likes him, digs him, and everything. So I think he's mates with whoever. It would have to be the other two not liking him, and if they didn't, he'd be gone. They've replaced that spot before, right? Matter of fact, that might even add some new interest. Get a super hot fourth guitarist for the Stones, and you know, get Bill Wyman back.
Yeah.
Right? But I don't think that's going to happen, Michael. Now, between the two, no, I don't think they really are. I think they put up with each other. I think when they're not on tour, that they've talked about this millions of. Yeah, they don't even talk. They don't visit each other or anything like that. No, I can imagine that would be true. For any touring band, the last thing you want to see is a guy you've been, had his ugly, smelly feet up on by your nostrils on a tour bus or in a plane you know so you don't want to do that, so you got to get but these guys now have generations of family and their priorities change. um, they're overlooking new generations as and leaving their mark as they will eventually one day pass away, and this is the best that any of us older folks can do. And if we're worth our salt, we have something to pass on to the younger generation of our family members, right? So I think they're involved in that. It's not the same band anymore. There had to be a lot of artificial uh, moving and grooving to get them all in the studio to do their last album. Matter of fact, they were so busy. Uh, uh, was it Oldman would say, and
Oh my goodness.
they have another album
Deuce
coming out.
came in
Oh,
with
I
it,
see that.
with
Hey,
the
Deuce,
super
it's good to see
thing.
you.
Oh, thank
Deuce is
you.
wild. Bill
Deuce,
Wyman
the
will
dog is so cute.
always be awesome. I agree.
Oh, thank you.
Very unsung bass player. Such respect for his approach to music and playing and his background and life story. Long live rock and roll. Oh, Deuce, that's an excellent way to kind of culminate before I get to you guys' comments here. Um, yes, long live rock and roll. It's time to start telling the story because most of the story is over. This We're living in the appendix of this book, folks. All right, the story's kind of over, and this is like, yeah. Have any of you ever read Lord of the Rings? And then you have this thing, and then there's the end, and then years later, it was known that some and you got all these sub stories going because you don't want to let it go. And I
Oh,
think that's
Deuce
what's
did it
happening,
again,
right?
hon.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Deuce,
Oh,
thank
$2.
you.
Follow. Wow, thank you so much, Deuce. Thumbs up. Check out his doc, The Quiet One, as well. Power of Two. Absolutely. I will. I haven't seen it. Thanks for the turn on, Deuce. Like I said, I review all my streams, and yeah, I'll make a note and I'll start looking at that. I've already been looking at a couple of suggestions that you guys have made. I try, like I said, I want this to be a two-way conversation. I'm not here to espouse wisdom. I'm just here to tell you how I think, right? And as homespun as that is, and like I said, the bottom line, the real bottom line of the bottom line is with you folks. It's what you think, right? And what you know. That's what makes this special. Otherwise, I'd just be a guy, with, going blah, 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 blah. I mean, some of you out there right now, I know you're watching. I know you're lurking, right? Going, well, that's all he ever does anyway, right? Gotcha. Ooh, zip up those pants. Anyway, I want to go to some of what you guys are talking about. Serge LaChance, first time I've seen you in the chat. The Cimmerillion. Yes, yes, yes. Uh, Frank Walton. Uh, that's good news. Oh, I'm coming in late on some of these. It's good. Well, first of all, let's call out some people that are here. Frank Walton. I don't think I've seen you before, or have
Yeah,
we?
he's been here
He's been here.
Yes, he
See,
has.
the
Frank
boss
Walton has
knows.
been here quite a bit.
Okay, well, actually, I'm starting to now. Frank Walton is starting to hit. Robert Verstraeten. The first time I've noticed Robert. When rock and roll ends, so will with the Western world. I agree. I agree. Good Lord. And we're coming so close these days. My grandma loved Bill Wyman, says Doc Insomnia. Uh, his bass playing on 19th Nervous Breakdown. Oh, yeah. I just heard that this morning. Yeah. On one of my treks amongst the community. TJRS Classic Rock Corner, great channel. The Stones are working on a new album right now. Yeah, they had a lot of it already recorded. Uh, they practically had enough for a double album on those first recordings for Hackney Diamonds, and they're going to be releasing that. I don't know if that's a release for this later fall. I haven't been following the Stones a whole lot, especially with the death of Ozzy and the big Black Sabbath thing. You know, that kind of took me off. I've been on special report for weeks for you guys, right? So, yeah, does anybody know when that next album is being released? I know Roy said something about it on his channel, and he might know the release date. I don't see Royce in.
Oh, Erica Splitting just came in.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Good to see you, brother. Joseph Fitzharris. Rock's not dead. There are a lot of new thrash bands and death metal. Yeah, and metal's growing a bit currently, but it was always kind of a side project. You know, the big audience was out here, and then you had the hardcore metaloids. But now that seems to be growing beyond that. There's no competition. That's part of the problem. You know, people are so damned set in their ways. You know, we've got to tour. There's no money in albums, and I explained in a recent uh, stream of mine. Yeah, there is. It's called Make It a Lost Leader Item. It will bump up your rep as being a current artist on top of the fact that you are currently touring your old hits. All right, that would impress me. But out of the people a few of them have done that. But out of a lot of the people that I've covered tonight, how many are doing that? No, the money's in the tours, and it is the last gasp of the original crew of rockers that we had definitely in the 60s. And for a whole lot of them, even in the 70s, have passed away, right? So, that tasted good. So I see Sarkon.
yeah.
Sarkon.
Sarkons.
Sarkon says, the Slade concert I went to, Aerosmith came out before Slade. Oh, really? They opened up for Slade? I would have thought it'd be the other way around. Wow. Okay. Al Val's in the house. He said Slade was almost washed up in the late 70s, but played a metal festival in 1980 and made a comeback. Yeah, and I'm all for comebacks. I think Yes has made a bit of a comeback. A lot of you don't agree. Oh, excuse me. Agree with me. That'll look good on replay. Hey, it's real, folks. Um, with their Mirror to the Sky album, a lot of you go, hey, I don't care how good it is. Hey, yes, you know, there's only Steve Howe, and he ain't even their original guitarist. And I've given my reasonings why I am still interested in this incarnation of Yes, and it's because of the album. I hear it. It's Yes. I just heard it the other day. I just played it. God, it's great. And I still say that's the number one, that's the best album of 2023 by any classic rock band. And it had a lot of contenders. What, Hackney Diamonds, right? Rock Float by Jethro Tull. Great album. I loved it. You know, there was a Tears for Fears album out. Um, several. Midnight Rose by Paul Rogers. Tons of albums came out in 2023. And I would pick Mirror to the Sky over that, right? Let's see who else is here. Brian Bingham is in. Made the original version of Mama, We're All Crazy, now later covered by Quiet Riot. Oh, this must be something I'm not, live band sounds better. See, that's the problem coming in at the bottom of the conversation. But it's good to see you, brother. Joseph Fitzharris says definitely going to be an Aussie movie. Yeah, you can't you feel it? I, it's like a done deal, man. Contracts are being drawn out. Get that writer back. I can feel it, man. I can feel it. And get ready for uh, of a Freddie Mercury moment. I think it's going to be one of those kind of films. You know. Doc Insomnia, How Does It Feel is a very underrated Slade song. A lot of talk about Slade. Rush couldn't go on after Neil retired, and I understand that. Yeah, I respect that. I would like to see the two of them do something. I wouldn't see it as um, Rush, though. But get another strong drummer of equal stature and come up with something you know. And if you're going to do tour Rush music and everything, yeah, get some new material and make sure it's a person. If you're having trouble with a lyricist or whatever, a drummer who could help out with that. Uh, they're rare. They're out there. I'd like to see something happen there, and then call it. I don't know. Some you could use Rush in the name or something like that. Two out of three members is still enough. You're probably going to get away with calling it Rush. And I wouldn't have a heart attack over that. If they called it Rush, I would think always, you can't. Neil Peart is irreplaceable. They're never going to capture that. But I would like to see them still. You can tell recent interviews. They're ready to play. They're ready. They've taken time away from the limelight. Now they're back, and there's all kinds of talk of what they could do. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? A possible new Rush lineup, or the two members of Rush doing another project named something else. What would you be in favor of? I would actually be in favor of them hooking up with a drummer and maybe a keyboardist or even an additional guitarist because you know yeah because they got the keyboards covered for the most part, but or another instrument I'm not thinking of, and really do something that's different and just call it something different. You know, they could still do the Rush songs and everything, but then heavily promote any new material they have. Let's see. Jorge Pina says so many crazy stories about Nikki. Yeah, yeah. Could fill several books, several volumes. Okay, who else is here? Donna the Frank. Hi, Frank. Live Who? Pete Townsend has made many a mistake. Yeah. I've covered that pretty. Uh, you're saying him playing live? Yeah, I noticed him. Yeah, I noticed he's not playing, but nothing bad that takes away from the show. He's not what he was at all on so many levels, right? But I hear what you're talking about. Al Val says Daltrey seems to be the boss of the Who now. That's what Pete Townsend has actually said. He said, I don't handle that stuff. Daltrey handles all the hiring and firing. I have no say on who is the Who. In that new Daltrey interview, he comes plain out and simple, says that the Who is me and Pete, plain and simple. Anybody else is just a hire on. But that's not how they're billing themselves. Certainly not before the firing of Zach Starkey, right? Think about that. Certainly not before the firing of Zach Starkey. That was the Who. That he was a member of the Who up until now. Now, Daltrey has made it official. Nobody on that stage except for Pete and him are the Who. A singer and a guitar. That's it. Half the members. And I remember Kenny Jones was a member of the Who, wasn't he? So we can see where Roger Daltrey's head has been all along. Think about everything I've said about him. I just remembered that last little bit that I gave you. I should have brought that up while I was talking to him. But think of all the tidbits I've been telling you about the mistake that Starkey didn't quite make, and that uh, uh, Daltrey did make. You know, how he laid low and let Pete Townsend handle it right the second after Pete Townsend made a statement that he didn't hire anybody, that it was Roger Daltrey that did all the hiring. And then all of a sudden coming out, then rehiring him, then refiring him, then making him. They tried to make him lie and say that he was leaving The Who. By the way, Roger, why would he need to make this big freaking statement if he wasn't what you call The Who? You forced him. You tried to force him to do that. And when he didn't want to play ball, and there was absolutely no way this was ever going to end in a nice way, he finally came out and started talking his brains out. And you don't look so good. That's your problem, brother. And you're hurting The Who's legacy. This is The Who's ending story, right? This is the final chapter. This is the way they want to go out. Have fun, guys. That's all I can say. All right, folks. I have done myself weary here, even going this long. This is a lot longer than I thought I would go. What did we do? We did well over an hour and a half. And I appreciate you guys. And once again, all of your wonderful well wishes. For me to actually admit I'm ill and to stop a stream, I was floored. I really was. And yet I was in bed, propped up, and trying to answer your well wishes. It was like, you touched my heart, just like you touched my wife's heart. That's what I want this to be. All right. Yeah. And not just this lovey dovey thing that I've been preaching all night. Let the sun in. Yeah. But also just kind of harboring in on classic rock and where we can get in and discuss the good guys, the bad guys, the great works, the best of all bands and all of that, right? And for me to have gotten this far, to tell you the truth, I was surprised. I saw us well into the 70s for an audience. Didn't expect that at all. Not tonight, you know. I think that we've probably streamed emergency streams on Thursday night. What is this? My third, and we've never picked up this many viewers. I'll get a report after, and I'll know finally what our peak viewership is. But I also noticed we maintained our viewership tonight really steadily. And for the folks that are still here, 64 of you are right here to the bitter end. My God, that's what makes this thing all special. That's what, once I felt better, it's like, I got to connect to the tribe, man. I need my fix of the tribe. Right, Rach? Babe?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah, she was telling me, you'll never get an audience. She said, hold on to Sunday. Yeah, make sure you're feeling better, you know. But you gave notifications far too late, and I did. What? I notified him what? An hour before?
Yeah.
About an hour before. And so for me to get 70 people in is amazing.
Yeah, we did great.
Yeah. No, thank you, darling.
Yeah.
Does anyone have told you you're so cute?
Oh, okay.
She's blushing, folks.
Golly gee, Michael.
I can see she's in the dark. I've got the studio lights on me, right? And I can see a faint red glow.
Oh my goodness.
I made her blush.
Made her blush. Just sent a membership.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Yerga Splitting.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. That's like a $5 super thanks right there.
That's
Now,
so sweet.
If this will be spit out to one of you or a group of you, and I'm not. It targets, I think, one at a time. If you get that, grab it because let's see. This is Thursday. I'm gonna try and do a video for. I'm way behind, and part of it was covering Aussie, and also part of it was me getting ill. As far as getting a new membership, but if you get this, you become automatically a tribal elder, right? And you have access to well over 100 videos, even some of my private music that I've written, right? So grab onto that. Thank you, Irgersplitten. Irgersplitten Loudon Boomer Gitterjam is his proper full name. All right. I appreciate it, brother. What a nice send off for tonight. All right, folks. I've had a wonderful time. I was kind of getting up is like I'm feeling good. I'm feeling strong, but that crashing feeling and all of that. But I was glad I did it. And besides, it's my way of at least trying to make up for my commitment to you to do 2 streams a week. I'm trying to do that. And I appreciate every single one of you. Had a wonderful time tonight. And I will see you at 5 o'clock on Sunday, if not sooner, with one of my videos. On Sunday night, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time again. Adjust your own time. A lot of times I'll be streaming, and you wouldn't believe what times in the morning it is elsewhere in the globe. And I still get some of you folks, you night owls out there, and I so appreciate each and every one of you. All right, I'm Michael Noland. This is the bottom line, and this has been Tribal Forum number 59. If you're not subbed to this channel, now would be a good time. All you have to do is hit that subscribe to the tribe button, tap that top bell icon, and you'll be magically notified of all my future videos and streams as well. All right, folks, I'll see you on Sunday night. And then afterwards, don't forget, I usually show up on Royce in the House at 6:30, same time zone, PST, and I'm part of the panel there. Be sure to go on over there, and of course, I say that too every time. Give him a sub as well. He's tribal. All right, night, folks.